Yes, buckle your seatbelt.
Hello all, welcome back to another Rambling Canucks Roundtable Reviews. Today we're going to review Star Trek the original series episode The Man Trap. And with me as always, Captain Trek and Vance Major from No Budget Productions. How are you doing, guys?
Doing okay. How are you?
Doing good. Vance?
First and only time I'm going to say this. Wonderful, my friend.
Awesome.
Glad to hear it.
Awesome. All right, so let's go around the table here and just kind of get a quick little synopsis of what we thought. I'll be able to speak, I promise. And Vance, we'll let you go first.
Well, given the fact that I'm not really impressed with a lot of the original series, I think a lot of the episodes are hit or miss. This is the first real time that I've actually sat there with analytical mode on with this episode. Usually I'll watch it and then kind of tune it out and go on do something else or draw and just have it on as background noise. And I watched this and I felt that it was a lot of hits more than misses. So I found myself like more engaged than normal. So thumbs up for me. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, Captain Trek.
Well, I overall, like it's not the best episode. It's not the worst episode. But one thing I did notice, because this was obviously the first time we see Uhura, they do kind of make it a point that she's not just the secretary type of role, even though she's the, communications officer. So
yeah, they establish early, she's not just there for eye candy. She actually has a purpose on the bridge, which is nice. Overall, I mean, I'm kind of with you. It's not the worst. It's not the best. For the most part, hindsight 2020, I have some issues with certain scenes, but I mean, at this stage of Star Trek, it really isn't a fair criticism because at that point you're not going to really know. If this was the first time we'd ever seen it, nothing has come after it, and this is the only Star Trek we have, then it's more excusable than my perspective, which is coming back to the series. So for me, it's just kind of interesting that way. Basically, what ends up happening is they're doing a check-in on a planet. They beam down, and they're supposed to do a medical checkup on the two scientists that are down there. And McCoy remembers one of them because it's his ex-girlfriend, of course, because that's going to add depth to the story. So, which it does. It has its payoff, which is nice. So, what did you guys think of the whole beginnings? Like, before we really get a good foundation, her initial change from one crew member looking at her to the other. What were your thoughts on that one, Trek?
Well, the fact that you don't really know exactly what's going on at the time, it's like something's weird. Why does she look this way to McCoy, another way to older to the captain, and like a blonde bombshell to the basically crewman wearing a blue shirt who happens to be a red shirt. But it doesn't make sense until they explain later on.
Yes, Vance, what is your thoughts on that?
I liked the fact that this had a very Twilight Zone-esque vibe in the very beginning, and it's very apparent that this is you're right that you can't really criticize this like you can later Trek. Like this isn't you can't give this the same criticism as you can like season 3 TOS. So you have to give this a little bit more of a free pass on some things, like when they say, hey, we're getting certain things from Space Command, or like when they're talking about having to drop off like red chili peppers, to whatever, like they don't have established like replicators. So like those things don't really bother me as much as certain other things. I do like the fact that overall story elements, such as the one person looks at the creature and sees the big chinned blonde chick. Another person sees the old woman, and Bones sees the woman that he saw 15 years ago or 10 years ago, whatever the time keeps changing for him. So I liked that aspect because it had a very Twilight Zone-esque vibe, and they were still establishing like kind of what Star Trek would be. So I liked it because it was like, to me, this episode felt like Twilight Zone in space, and I really enjoyed that. It had kind of a mysterious vibe to it, so I liked it.
Okay, so throughout the episode, basically crewmen start dropping 4 in total to the creature, and they end up the first creature, the first one to fall gets beamed up, and it's thought that, oh well, he died because of a plant, and then of course the autopsy shows he didn't. He died because of salt being drained from his body. What did you think of that being the crux of it, like the creature needing salt? Was that something you liked, or did that not matter?
Actually, that's something that, particularly at the time, I don't think necessarily everyone knew how important sodium was to the body. And a sudden removal of salt, how impactful it would be on a human body. So, for this insight into it back in the 60s is really rather amazing, to be quite honest.
Vance?
To me, I could kind of take it or leave it, but I'll tell you who was kind of salty was Uhura when Spock was kind of neglecting her advances there. That was
a little bit.
party. Let's see what I did there. Yeah.
Oh boy.
No, like I thought that was kind of cool. Like I like, again, that's one of those subtle things that I. Given the fact that I really never really watched this episode with paying that much attention, I think this is where JJ got Uhura and Spock's romance from, and that's one of those subtle things that I never, you never see that in the original series. I don't think it's outside the kind of flirtatious singing moment where Uhura singing and Spock kind of gets that kind of, hey baby, look in his eye later on in the series. I think it's a Charlie X episode, I think. Outside that moment, and then right here, that's like the only time you pick up any vibes between those two characters. Outside that, I don't think they really talk all that much. So it was kind of a treat for me to see that and be like, oh hey, I think that's where JJ got that from. So to me, that was a treat of the episode. The salt thing, to me, I could kind of take it or leave it. So didn't really matter to me.
Yeah. So once they've determined this, they go back down to the planet, and Kirk says, we're bringing you up to the ship because something has attacked our crew members, and we feel for your safety, and I don't care what you say, you're coming up to the planet. And so they go searching for his wife, and they can't find her. What's happened is the creature has killed 2 more crew members. They find one body, and then the creature takes the form of the other crewman and meets up, and they beam up to the ship. Now, here's where going back to what I said earlier, this scene I think only works because it's so early in Trek. If this had been done in TNG or Voyager or DS9, the first question out of most people's mind would have been the same first question of mine, which was, wouldn't the transporters realize that wasn't the crewman? But you can get away with it here because that really hasn't been established as canon just as of yet, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they're kind of again, that is one of those things where it's like they're going in blind for a lot of things, and a lot of things aren't established. There's a lot of nitpicks in those things, and you kind of got to forgive them.
Yeah, and that's why I said it works here, but it wouldn't work down the road.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, you really do have to forgive those things. It's great, and a lot of early TOS stories. Well, in fact, a lot in the series, early. A lot of the TOS stories have that type of, you got to forgive them because they didn't really have technical aspects of things. They didn't have technical advisors. For what they would have, like I think it was the Okudas. I think Michael Okuda and Denise Okuda, I think their names are. Forgive me if that's not what they are. But they have like they actually had technical advisors on Next Gen, where for TOS it was more like, if it fits the story, it fits the story. We just got to tell we just got to tell the story. So I think the more we see, the more we watch TOS, we're gonna have to kind of overlook the technical aspect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it works. It like I say, it's one of those moments where it works in this episode. But if you were to do the same going down the line, then it would be well, no, that doesn't make sense. But here, it's forgivable because again, the canon isn't there yet.
Well, there's that. Plus, when you look forward as you go on, if you remember in the motion picture, you had the transporter accident, which really killed 2 people. Where they're showing that, and then in the Next Generation, where they stated several times that transporter technology has improved over the years.
Yes.
So going back, it's a little more forgivable because it's really just a new technology that is apparently not been used that long.
Yeah. Okay, so here's one of my biggest, I guess, nitpicks about this within the story that drew me out.
Mhm.
And it was the creature itself, in a sense. Because at the beginning, when we're introduced to the creature, which we didn't know was the creature at the time, when the crewman, Kirk, and Bones beam down, each one of them sees a different version of the creature, right? She appears different to every one of them.
Right.
Later on in the episode, that is changed to, well, no, they all see who the same person. And it was like, well, wait, does she appear different? Appear how people want to see her, or does she appear as a certain form? And so that for me was kind of like, well, either she takes on the creature takes on one form and that's the form everybody sees, or you have multi-form. Depending on who's viewing the creature will depend on what they see, which is what is established at the beginning of the episode and then pretty much forgotten for the rest of it. So for me, that was my biggest nitpick. Would have been, I would have liked to have seen, when the creature is walking the Enterprise, as different crew members view the creature changes form to whoever they happen to be thinking about at the time. So it's different view, just like how we're introduced to the character. And then to change that to, oh no, they just take a solid form for the rest of the episode. that kind of made me go, "Heh." I don't know. What did you think, Trent?
Well, the one thing that they did hint on is when the doctor down on the planet was saying that the to McCoy that later on maybe the creature will appear that she will appear more like herself, or allow her to, allow him to see her, So there was a slip in there that allow him to see, and then he just corrects himself. And obviously, be quite honest, it's budget.
Yeah.
You can't have that many walk-on
Costume
characters.
changes.
Yeah, and so, but that little line in there, the little slip, supposedly, can kind of, I think, explain that.
Yeah, but for me, that would have worked if when you could work within that confines and really not lose anything in the character. If when Kirk, Bones, and the crewmen are down on the planet at the beginning, they all see the same vision because that's who she's portraying at the time.
Yeah.
That's who the creature's portraying at the time in that moment.
Then
I
again, the crewman wouldn't have walked off to a
Well,
old
of course.
woman.
So for plot reasons, yeah. But again, it kind of jars me in the moment because it's like, well, okay, you've established that this character does this, and this is how other characters interact with that character, and then for the rest of the episode, that is forgotten.
It wasn't it wasn't entirely consistent with itself, and that's one of the problems with early science fiction is it's not always entirely consistent, and that's sadly that's just a flaw with the story. Overall, like it's just one of those things where it's like you got to look at, is it forgivable? Yeah, it is. It's just sadly that's just bad storytelling in that regard. Overall, though, the story I think for me works. In spite of, and sadly, it's just you got to overlook it. In spite of that bad storytelling for that mentality. So to me, it's like, yeah, that is a flaw in the storytelling, and that's just what it is. So,
Yeah, and for me, it's not so much that it's this, oh, that kills it for me. But if I'm being honest, it did take me out a little bit because
right,
the character changes mid-show, and it's like, well, wait, no, you've established this, and now you're, yeah. So it jarred me a little bit.
Right.
So now, of course, they are able to track down the crew. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Vance. Before I move on.
To me, I didn't like. To me, when I enjoyed when it was McCoy as the salt creature, because it was more in kind of inside the head, and you had more of the, do you trust him? Do you not? Do you know? To me, I didn't like when it was the guy in yellow as the creature, because I kind of felt like he played somewhat stupid, kind of going in Sulu's quarters. I did like when that like plant dog thing was kind of just went berserk.
Yeah.
I liked that aspect because I was like, that's really cool. But I felt like he kind of portrayed it as just kind of aloof. I kind of felt like acting like a fish out of water should have been something which would have been kind of cool. And like taking the approach of like, you don't know who the creature is among the crew, and kind of playing it up from that point of view would have been more interesting, instead of the audience knows who it is and it's so obvious that something's wrong, instead of, oh wow, I wonder if he's getting space mad. Like, it's just like, okay, obviously something's wrong with him. Why don't you? Well, go after him. This plant just went psycho crazy. Like, how crazy is that? Like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, he's Sulu. He's staring at your salt container here. Like, come on. Like, I mean, this is just that's people don't do that. Like, come on. He just walked in your quarters for no reason. Like, it's just. Yeah, to
and
me,
the other difference is, again, you have a character change between the time that the creature played Bones and the time that the creature played Green.
right.
When the creature played Green, it didn't speak.
Right.
It refused to talk, insinuating that the creature couldn't replicate the voice.
Right.
Then when the creature takes on Bones, it can replicate the voice.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, well, okay, you're setting parameters for your character,
But you're not consistent.
But you're not consistent with those parameters all the way through this show. And for me, that annoys the daylights out of me, because it's one character. Come on, please.
Yeah.
Consistency, people.
You've got the makings of a great story. Just be consistent. Like, tell one story, not half of two halves of a bad one. Yeah, no.
Yeah. So moving forward, they finally track down. And what did you all think of the final scene where McCoy is forced to fire upon his long lost love that keeps turning between a salt monster and this long lost love, and he still has that feeling all the way up to the last phaser shot. Thoughts?
I want to reenact that with my wife, and I want her to hit me like Spock hit that woman. Like, that's like that was awesome. That was so awesome for so many wrong reasons, like, it's like, god dang it, like, what, it's like, I don't misunderstand me, anybody out there. Don't be like, oh, Vance hits women, oh my goodness, like, I can hear,
like a ton of bricks nowadays.
Yeah, like that is not what I'm saying, but god dang it, like, like, it is, that was so funny. I was cracking up the whole time, like, god dang it, Spock, are you kidding me?
All the ways to show this isn't who she is. I'm gonna hit her.
Like, if anything deserves to be like if anything deserves to be a GIF, it's that. Like, are you kidding me?
Oh boy, Cap.
I don't know. It's just the fact that before the creature transforms back into itself, even partially, I can understand his hesitation to shoot. But when he sees this creature at Kirk's face, and then she transforms back to looking like the woman he knew, and then back again, it's like, shoot her.
Shoot it.
Come on, shoot the damn thing and get it over with.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that was kind of dragged out a little bit more than it should have been.
Yeah.
But just a tad, just a little overdone, folks. A little overdone.
I think it was just right. It was good.
And by the way, it wouldn't be you beating a woman; it would be a woman beating you. So there's I think that's common nowadays.
The look on Spock's face. She beats that across the room.
Oh yeah. Oh, just priceless. Absolutely. And all the motions too, just one-handed backhand. Yeah.
It's like Leonard Nimoy took all the emotion of the Cage era yelling, and he was like, I'm gonna get it all in this one facial expression.
One shot, yeah. Oh boy. All right, let's go around and give our grades, starting with Captain Trek.
Overall, I'd give it a 5.
All right.
Quite honestly.
Vance?
Um, I would say a 5, but that damn fight scene, I got to give it a 7.
All right. Well, I'm gonna give it a 6, just because. Uh, yeah, same reason. I mean, that just cracked me up. It made me laugh.
That
That
fight
was so.
scene, dude.
It falls into the so stupid it's funny. Um,
I swear to God, you need to add that to your intro, dude. Like that's and you need to put Royce's voiceover of buckle your seatbelt, like a Spock's
yeah.
beat that one.
Oh, problem is, I'd probably get like taken off of YouTube or something. Modern bots would see that and just go, "Oh hell's no!" Right?
But what a way to go! What a way to go! Like it's
Oh yeah. All right. Well, that's gonna pretty much wrap it up for this one. I want to thank everyone for coming. I want to thank my my panelists and my roundtable guys. They stick with me and they put up with me every week. I don't know how. 2 shows yet. I don't get it. And poor Captain Track, he's got like 4 shows with me. So why he's not in a locked up in a rubber room yet, I'm not exactly sure. But go figure. So with that, I want to remind everybody that Captain Trek and No Budget Productions channels are in the description below. Please go like, share, subscribe their stuff. Show up when they do a live stream or when Vance releases a video. They're always giving out great content, and I hope that this will either introduce you to them or open your eyes to to what they do. And I always want to thank them because they put up with me. And till next time, take her easy, folks.